Welcome back, everybody. This is Cookie Stratton. Tonight is our lesson 3. I prepared the worksheets if you want to download them. It's under week 3. You'll see it's actually going to say 3-4 because it's probably more than what we can cover for tonight, so we'll probably use it for tonight and for the next class. So once you download it, I'll give you a couple of minutes to get it ready. We're going to be doing more with conditional formulas. That's something that we were working a lot with on Monday. We were doing different variables of what would happen if a salary was at one rate and or commission, how much percentage would we pay. So I'll just open it up again just to refresh your minds. If you remember, we had formulas that look like this, conditional formulas. Another conditional formula was if, in this one, what was the sum if it was part of Team 1 or Team 2. So we had a few different conditions, and, well, let me see if this one, what was the highest if it was part of Team 1? What was the highest if it was part of Team 2? So we'll be doing a little more with conditions. And if you download it, it might not open on the first tab. So click into product, and that's where we'll be starting out. Let me maximize my page so it should be clear. Okay, I think we have everybody here. And what I did here was I am going to be teaching you the VLOOKUP function. It's a vertical lookup function. So you're going to see it in a few different places, but the way that it works is, like in this one, if I'm looking at a specific product in my first column, I want it to return, let me click into it. So if you look at this, the equal VLOOKUP, it's saying if it's looking right into this cell, which happens to be right now E5, looks through this whole area from A2 down to the bottom of mine, which is C17. I know you don't see it, but this being the entire spreadsheet that I wanted to search through. Once you search through this and find whatever it is I typed here, what I want you to return is whatever is in the second column. So I'm going to change this number. I'm going to make this one now OS 2008. Tab, not available. Wait a minute. What went wrong? Let's try it again. Let me back out. Let's see if I take it from here, might be better. Okay. So once I put in the product, I must have typed it wrong or something. Once I put in the product ID, then the description changed because of the formula that's in here, and it understands now to look in the second column, whatever is next to this 2008. In the price, I have another formula. In here, it's saying equal VLOOKUP again, look through this entire area. And when you find whatever's in E5 to match this column A, return the third column, whatever's in the third column. So again, I'll take the OS 2017 and I replace it here. And you see, as soon as I did, then I got my new description, my new price. So this is the beginning of using VLOOKUP, and we're going to be using it in a few different ways so that you could appreciate the functions of it. I see I have a question from Toma. Where are you where am I putting this formula? Well, I put it in ahead of time for you. I put it in right here, but we're going to do it together in the next exercise. I just wanted to give you a little idea of what the VLOOKUP does, and then we have two examples where we'll be using the VLOOKUP and really start to see, the potential of it. So let's move on to class average. And this is going to have a few different levels to it that we'll be doing together. Let's see. Okay, the first thing I want to do is I want to just get my class averages. Now, I hope that this is something that you know how to do on a basic class, a basic average, but I'm going to take it a step further. We'll be using, in this example, what we'll be doing is first we'll be getting the class averages. Then we'll be getting the individual students' averages, but not using just the general adding three numbers together and dividing it, which I'll explain in a moment. We'll get a numerical grade, and then from that numerical grade, we're going to get a letter grade. In other words, if the student got a 65, then he gets a C. If he got a 91, he gets an A. So that's where we'll be taking this to. So we'll be going in stages. So we're starting out with class average, and let me know in the chat if general averages is something that you know how to do, and you'll see how useful this VLOOKUP will be, and start to just see the potential of it. Okay. Simple average. I can go over to my AutoSum. The arrow will give me more than just AutoSum. I can take a simple auto average, and I'm able to get the average very quickly from here. I'm going to use my fill handle to drag it across, and I'll leave it at that point. So these are very basic, elementary formula, just equal average, parenthesis, and the range. Now I'm going to go another step in creating the average for each student, but when I'm going to create the average now, I'm taking into consideration that their final grade is worth twice as much as their test grade. Not everything is equal, especially in school. So using formula, what we have to do here is we have to manually input it because everything is not a quick average, it's just a basic formula. What we'll do here is we'll take each of these numbers, the first test plus the second test plus, now this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2 times the final, because like we said that the final grade is worth twice as much as the first 2 tests, and although I put everything inside of parentheses, Excel knows to multiply D3 times 2 before it adds B3 and C3. Because of the hierarchy of operations, it understands to do the multiplication first. Once I have that, I have to divide it by 4, and the reason I'm using 4, even though there's only 3 actual grades, is because that final is worth twice as much. So I have my formula. If it doesn't make sense to anybody, you can stop me ahead of time. And I'll just double click so that everything else is filled in. Okay. If anybody doesn't understand that part, slow me down. Now, I gave each of the students a comment about their homework. So if their homework was okay, then my computer likes to do that. If their homework was okay, then they're getting an extra 3 points on their grade. If their homework is poor, they're going to lose a point. So we need a formula. And before I show it to you, anybody have a guess at what that formula should be? Because, again, this is something similar to what we did on Monday. And even if you want to just guess how I should begin for the formula, I'll take that. Of course, we always start with our equal sign. And which word are we using? Well, it's a condition, so the first condition is if. Okay, Toma, I think you actually typed it in as I was saying the word because I saw it start to blink. So, we start with if. Happens to be lowercase. It doesn't really matter. I like to work uppercase just for you to be able to see it better, but it doesn't change the formula at all. So, if whatever's in this cell, which right now is F3, is equal to, now, because it's not a numeric value, I have to make sure to put quotation marks. Oops, and it should look exactly the same. So if F3 is okay, I'm going to put a comma. That's what separates it. This is the first part, the logical test. Then what happens? Well, then we're going to take whatever grade is here and add it to whatever's here. I'm going to put F4 because I want that part to be absolute. And now, what happens if it's not okay? Then we still take that same average and add it to the poor. Again, absolute, close the parenthesis, and press enter. So, you see that the first student got an extra 3 points. And let's see if everything seems to work okay. Yep, the poor lost a point, the 3 okays went up, and the last one went down. So, another use for this if function, 2 different variables, just give me the result at that point. Let me see. Could I limit it to more than 100? You know what? It really, can't answer you for sure. So I don't. I'm sure there must be a way, but I can't think of it right now. But it won't really matter because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be giving a letter grade instead of a numerical grade. So this number will be changing. But you know what, Toma? If you figure out how to limit it, let me know. I'm sure it's gotta be there. Okay, so we start with this, and I think everybody's comfortable with this so far. I hope so. And I'm going to move into the next spreadsheet that's called VLOOKUP. I hope I didn't do the work for you. No. Okay, good. Okay, so this is actually the same as what you just had on the page before, but I did some of the work for you. I filled in the same formulas that I just told you. I also added a criteria. Right here is the criteria. When creating a grid like this, start with the lowest number and work your way up to the highest number. If you did it in the reverse, you'd end up with a problem. So, and also, down here you'll see some help in understanding it. VLOOKUP looks for the value in a different location on your worksheet. So it's going to look for these numbers and return these numbers. Now, it could get more complicated where it could be an exact number, but the basic VLOOKUP right now, the way it's set up, will give you, let me just think how to explain it. Let's say if they had a 65, it would go up to the 6th it would go up to the C. So it really goes up to 60, that would get a D. Anything over the 60 would actually return the C. That's how it's set up on the basic VLOOKUP. So VLOOKUP searches the first column of your list. When it finds the value that you are searching for, it returns another value in the same row. Okay, so the lookup table below, the numbers and accompanying letter values. So it takes 3 bits of information. Where is the value? The value in right now is, well, I wrote F3, but I think it's really G3. So I'm going to, we're going to find out. Let me just make sure. Yeah, it should have said G3 over here. I'll change it here, but change it on your own. Okay. And then it'll look in this table and then return what's in the second column. So what I did here is I actually gave you the formula so you'll be able to enter it yourself. But I'll do it with you right now. So it's a equal VLOOKUP, and you put your parenthesis, click into the first value, then comma. Then you're taking the table array, which is this area. Okay, and again, I'm going to use my F4 because I'll be using that again and again. And return what's in the second column. Oh, what did I get wrong? Sorry, something. What did I do? Oh, I put a minus sign. Thank you. There we go. Okay. So, we'll do it one more time and then we'll copy and paste it. Equal VLOOKUP, parenthesis, G4, your comma, your table array, F4 to make it oops, my mistake. And the number 2, second column, and enter. Now when we fill in the balance, it looks like everything worked. So you see how easily you're able to get a letter grade to correspond to the numbers. Just wanna. I'm always losing. One thing that's in this version is my freeze panes. I don't know why, I never know where it is. Samuel just asked a question. I just want to address it. When is VLOOKUP mostly used? Oh, it's in view. Thanks, Karen. It's used anytime you have to correspond one value for another. I'm going to show you in a couple of different ones, different ways that you'll use it. In fact, I have one right here. Actually, I'll jump around a little bit. In this, well, all right, you don't have everything here yet, but what's going to happen is your locations, this is going to get set up that depending on where people live, they are paying different tax rates for different locations, for different states. So something like that, you would use a VLOOKUP. If it's New York, it might get one tax code. If it's New Jersey, it might get another tax code. So that's another area that a VLOOKUP will be important to use. Okay. The reason I was looking for my freeze pane, which is, Karen reminded me, thank you, that it's in view, is because every time I scroll down over here, I lose that top heading. So it really is easier to work when that first row is frozen, and that way I don't lose where I'm up to. I'm going to I'll do that Janet one later on. Okay, this is an interesting project that, let me see if, okay. What this is in here has lots of formulas. It's all blank except for this information here, but as you scroll through, you're going to see that the formulas were already created. There are many times that you want to create a template and then just plug in information and allow the information to do all its calculations. This one, just remembering, has its own VLOOKUP over here. If their course name is whatever this B210 is, then the course fee is just going to fill in on its own. Another opportunity to use a VLOOKUP. And again, in here, numbers of days paid in advance, discount rate. Also is going to become dependent on the VLOOKUP. Okay, I'm going to move into 628, come back to Janet later. So this one is already filled in. And let me see if, well, I'll take some of it out and then show you. Well, let me see if I, so what's going to happen in here is that we're using this to calculate discounted rates. Here's the student name, just N1, and actually, let me see if I could. I'm just going to drag down the formulas. Okay. Show you how it works. And then we'll go over all the formulas. I'll give you just, well, these are just going to say value for now because there's nothing really there. But that's okay. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of repeat what I have in the first row. Okay, now you see right away, as soon as I put in the B210, it returned the course fee. So we're going to look at the formula together to understand it. This part is a little more advanced, what I did over here, but by writing that if B10 equals, and in parentheses, in quotation marks, it just has just quotation, which means it's blank. And this, again, meaning blank. That way I didn't get this value that I got in this H column. So that's what this part is doing. It's returning nothing instead of returning a value, this pound value error symbol. But the most important part is this. Looking inside of B10, use the VLOOKUP, which I've placed inside of K2 to L8, K2, which is right here. So it's moved really off of the area that actually has all of our information. This can actually be like way off the page so that the person entering the information wouldn't even really see it, but you would know it was there, or you can even hide it if you didn't want somebody to know it was there. It could just be hidden instead of being visible. But I'm going to leave it open so that we could work with it. Okay. Now, start of quarter has to be, and I'll put today's date. I'll hit the control semicolon will give me today's date. That's a good keyboard command to know. Control semicolon always gives you today's date. Now, date paid has to be before the start of the quarter. So I'm going to put in, let's say, the first, which is 19 days before. As soon as I press tab, the formula is created. Now, Excel, when it reads the date, it's not actually reading it the way that we read it. Let me see if I can show you what Excel actually sees it. That's what Excel sees. I'm going to do the same thing to this one. And if you see that these numbers, just this 44, whatever, 407.44 minus 407.25, that's how Excel is actually doing the math. So even if it were to be a year later, it does the math. I don't know what it does with the leap years. I hope that it figures it out beyond what I know. But that's actually how Excel is subtracting one date from the next. So automatically, because of this formula, and again, this part of the formula right here, all it's doing is returning nothing as opposed to looking at all these pound values that could be distracting. You don't really want them there. They don't look very professional. So once I got this 19, where did my discount rate come from? It came from in here. It read the VLOOKUP. It looked at what was in F10 and searched in this table to decide what percentage should be given to that customer. Once it did that, it took this 8% and multiplied it by the course fee, and in total paid, it took the original course fee, subtracted the discount, and we have a total amount to be paid. Okay. A lot of stuff. Well, you know what we'll do is we'll go back into the template, knowing that the information is the formulas are already set up. We're able at this point to start putting in any information that we need. Now, here you're going to see that there's a course name. There's a drop-down list. We're going to create this drop-down list together. Maybe what we'll do is we'll put it on a whole new sheet so that you can see it from start. And once you have that course name, it's so much easier to just click into it and allow Excel to fill in the rest. So now the course fee was entered, the start date, well, I think we had that there before, but I can always change it again. They paid, let's say this time they paid today, they started today, they paid today, so they get no discount, days pay in advance, nothing, no discount, and they have a total. So in this specific example, the VLOOKUP was used twice in order to return the proper results. Squeeze it in. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, let's take a new sheet. And in here, we'll create this drop down. I happen to have a copy of those course numbers, so I'll do it right here. Course numbers. Okay, and it was must have forgotten the B in there. I knew because something was moved over to the right instead of the left that I must have left something out. Hopefully you already know that anytime you're entering text, it will move to the left side. If you're entering numbers or even a date, which in Excel's mind is numbers, it would be moved to the right side unless you, looks like I put that in the wrong spot. What happened here? Oh, I did it again. Okay. Okay, so I created a list. I'm going to select it. And going to data validation. I'm in the data tab. Let's see if no, sorry. My mistake, 1 minute. Okay. I just have to remind myself how to get it into the area that I wanted it. Oh, wait, we have to define a name for the list. 1 minute. Somebody seems to know this better than me, so I will accept your help. Let me just read it. You need to highlight the column and then open data validation box. Let me just see this one. Yeah, but Gladys, tell me again what you need to highlight the column and then open well, we created, let me just make sure, the course. And now how do we, I just don't remember, sorry everybody, how to get it over to here. Oh, I have to specify location of the list of valid entries. Okay, sorry about that, guys, and I'm just going to answer a question from whoever just asked me for my email address. I'll leave that there for a minute. Well, two places could say course number. That's not what's. Let me just see what I did on the other page, and hopefully I'll remember. Insert. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, got it. Data validation. Oh, 1 minute. List. Source is course. Let's see if it finds it. Okay, that was it. Oh, no, it's not it. Let me try one more time. There we go. Okay. We got it. We're good. We're good. Sometimes something so simple becomes so difficult. All right, let me do it with you guys one more time. So we'll just put I don't know, just anything. Let's say we had fees, and we were just having specific fees for something. So it's 100 and 150 and 200 and 250. Let's say those were our fees. So the first, I don't even think we have to do that much. Fees, then data validation, a list, and where is the list coming from? The list is coming from here. And then our fees are there. Okay. Okay, so it was actually not so difficult, but it just took a little thinking before I got it. So I hope that everybody has that now. It's just, so we didn't really have to even name our range. All you have to do is wherever you're putting the list is change any value to list, and the source would be whichever. Click into the source and then select the group you want and press OK. Another time you might want to use this is if you were doing states. Let's say you had something where you wanted to be putting in information, somebody's address, and you don't want to type the state every time you want to use a drop down. Like every website that you go to, you're always scrolling through a list of states. And the reason people like using them, not that it's difficult to type in, NY, but you want to make sure that it stays standard, that it's always going to be typed, let's say the 2 letters, capital, no periods, no spaces, etc. So how would you even begin to get a list of states without driving yourself crazy and recreating something that's been used so many times? So the best way to do it is go onto the internet, go onto Google, and type in abbreviated states. Oops. For Excel. And we'll see what comes back. I happen to have found it already, so I'll show you quickly. Because I went through quite a few of them were not really what I wanted. But this one happened to have been ideal. I'm sure there must be others, but this one I know works. So I went right here and I saw State Abbreviations Excel. And I'll just open it. You can save it if you want to. Eventually, oh, here it is. Okay. And here's my list right here. So if I was using this, and now remember also that you don't have to use it on the same page as your work. So I'm going to take this whole list, copy it, and you might want to add, Puerto Rico or Canada or someplace else. It doesn't have to stay limited to that. And let's see, I'll add it right in here. Okay, once I have that entire list, I was thinking that since I already had it highlighted, which really would help, I'm going to leave it highlighted and I'm just writing states in here. Okay. I'm going to go on to one of my other pages now. This was a page where we happened to have needed to use the different states, and hoping that it's not working. Well, I'm going to put it in. I'm going to clean out this area. Just going to delete what's in there. Actually, let me take a new column. Date. Okay. So in here, I'm going to use my data validation, and I'm going to take a list, and let's see if it'll let me go straight to my list. Thought I can go from page to page. I'm sure I can. No. I thought it would let me. It should have let me. I guess it should have let me use this list from another page, but for some reason I can't seem to do it. I'm going to call it state this time. I want to see if I can use it by using the named range. Let's see if... all right. No. No, it's not letting me use... I was hoping to be able to use the named range. I thought it would be so much easier than having to highlight everything. Okay. But either way, it's in here, and let's just drag it down. No. Yeah. And now they're all working. So at least this way you're forcing people to use the abbreviation as opposed to having to type it. Karen said, for source, couldn't you just write equal state? I thought I should be able to. I'm going to try it again and see if that would work. Let's give that a go. and not any value, but list and equal state. See, it's not. Oh, maybe it is. Let's see. Yeah, it is. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Karen. It didn't look like it was working, but it actually did. So I guess we were okay with that. I actually wrote it twice, state and states. I'm going to try this course on the other page. Well, let's see where course is, so we'll make sure not to use the same page. Okay, so course is on sheet 1. I'm going to go back to this Janet one and see if I try using it here, because that's really what I wanted to be able to do. I wanted to be able to put it on a separate page, and it works. Now I did put the equal sign. I got the equal sign. But this is great, Karen, because not only is the named range so useful, but we were able to use it from a page other than the sheet that we're on right now. So that did work out better than I expected. Okay. It's funny. I remember this being this whole lesson taking more time than we actually took today. So we actually finished it quicker than I expected. So let's take a short break. I'm going to upload some more worksheets for us to get started on, and we'll go to it in just a few minutes. Okay, thanks. another minute. I didn't end up opening the right one. Just give me another minute. Here it is. It's not reading the new one. I have to re-upload it. Great. All right, it's showing me that it's here, and yet I can't seem to get it up there for you. All right, well, all right, I'll just show you something else. I don't know why it doesn't want to update. This we don't need. We'll take another sheet. Okay, something that I happen to have used today for a customer that it was really something that was very important, and I wanted to share it with you. I'll put my name up here and my last name here. Now, what happened was I needed to combine the two names together instead of having them separate, and let's even add Mrs. over here. So let's say you need more than one cell joined together into one cell. I want to be able to put my first and last name together in this cell. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my equal sign and click into the first cell, and then use an and sign. Now, I don't want to just go straight into the second cell, because what that will do is it'll put the two names right smack up against each other. So I put a quotation mark, a space, a quotation mark. That means that I'll have an empty space in here, another plus sign, and my last name, and enter. And you see how it put the two names together as opposed to having them split up. If I needed to put the title in front of it, click here and add that in with the and sign, quotation mark, space, quotation mark, and now all three are in one cell. So there are definite times that you need to combine things, and this is the way you go about it, and making sure to give yourself these spaces in between the two. Tomer just asked, can we create an AND function with more than one condition? For example, if B14 was greater than 100 and not equal to 150. Well, let's look at something that has the original formula again. Let's find. I'm just trying to think of a good scenario to work that in. Well, Tomer, try to give me an idea of how it would be used so I can think of what we want returned. Like here, let's say we're using an if function. If it's greater than a specific number, well, then I have something to do with that number. How would you want to use it with more than one condition? Let's say C14 is between 50,000 and 100,000. Let's try it. Let's see what would happen. Okay. So let's say equal if. I'm not sure myself how it's going to work out. Is how about greater than 50,000, and I'm not sure if this is the right way. Oh. Let's the and over here I don't think is going to work as an ampersand, because it has a different purpose. And less than, then give us the number 100, otherwise give us 0. Let's see if that would work. No. Oh, wait a minute. Let's see if that worked. Maybe I'm onto something. So what I did was I put if B2 is greater than 50 and less than 100,000, return 100. If it's not, return 0. So let's try this same formula with, let's say, before, because that one happens to be between. Oh. No, you see, it's only returning a false because it's not reading it properly. I'm sure it's possible. Well, you know what we can do is we can try. Okay. If the value is true, it would be greater than this. Let's see if it lets us put 2. If it's true, I don't think it's going to work. No. No, what it only gave me is if the number is actually, no, it's still not reading it properly. It's only reading one section of it. See, now it's working fine, but when I tried to put the 2 variables, again, I'm not saying that it's not possible. It has to be possible because with Excel, it's like almost everything is possible, but that one is not returning what we're looking for. So something to, to work on, but right now I don't see that it's allowing me to do that. Okay, I'm going to try one more time to try to get one of these sheets up that I really wanted you to work on. So let me give it one more go. I don't know why it's being so stubborn right now. Okay, we're going to give it one more shot. I put a new word on it so that I can see if it makes the change. Okay. All right, let's do this one, less than 6. Okay, it's hopeful again. Everything seemed to, for whatever reason, it didn't want to upload. Sometimes it just doesn't want to work as fast as I need to. Now, of course, it's not giving it to me fast enough, but it'll be there. Nothing yet? Let me close these. Might help. Oh, it's still coming. Oh, okay. Why did it give me this one? It's not the one I wanted. There it is. Okay. This one we already did. So if you remember that multiplication table, we did that in the beginning. So I'm not really going to do that one right now. Let's go into this car loan. Okay. This is another formula that's important to know. Let me just catch everything. Okay. So you're thinking of buying a car. You're trying to decide how much to actually spend. How much can you afford? Can you afford the monthly payment? What happens if you settle for a less expensive car? How much will you be paying then? If there's manufacturer rebate, how will that affect your expenses? So on and so on. So we're going to go through each of these steps together, and let me see if, okay. So we're going to start with, the formula that we're going to be using is the PMT function, which is a payment. What it's going to be is, it's the payment right here. This example is taking the information from here, 0.08 being 8% divided by 12 because you pay it in 12 months. So that's the interest rate per period, the annual rate divided by 12. That's the first part of this formula. The next part is the number of periods. How many payments are you actually going to make? In this example, it's 5 years, so it would be 5 times 12, which is 60. And then the amount of the loan, which is written in a negative number, and in this example, it's $20,000. So what would you be paying every month for that loan? That's what we'll be doing together. So here, in this example, what I did was the formula has already been set in B6. No, B6. No, it's actually in B9. Okay. The amount to finance. Okay, did it have one? Okay, yeah, B6 does have a formula. The formula in B6 is just the price of the car minus the manufacturer's rebate plus the down payment. So the amount that you would need to finance is going into B6. You'll be filling in the interest rate, the terms of the loan, and you'll return what the monthly payment will be. Now, looking at this formula right now, equal PMT is the payment, parentheses, it's looking at the interest rate, which we'll be filling in here. It'll be dividing it by 12 because each payment is not really, let's say, 7% or 8%. It's really 1/12 of that. Each payment is 1/12 of whatever the interest rate is. Next part is this B8 is the term in years times 12. So that's what will be in here. So let's see when we plug in the numbers that we're seeing in this area. So not that there's that many cars for $20,000 these days, but we'll start with a car for $20,000. Maybe it'll be a used car. Oh, I should have pressed tab. Now, manufacturer's rebate, let's say that they're offering $2,000 rebate. I'll enter. And you're willing to put down a certain amount, and that's what's going to go inside the down payment. But I'm going to leave it out right now and come back to it later on and see how much of a down payment I really feel I need to put. Just before I continue, Toma just asked, the sheets are multi-car loan. Yeah, right now I didn't bother with multi because that's something we already did in one of the previous lessons. And car loan is the second one. That's the one that I'm using right now. And Toma asked, the interest rate need to be determined by the table in A15. No, it doesn't really. I just did this as an example of different scenarios. That's why I have this here for you. So in the first one, I'll stick to the scenarios that I gave you. I gave you 1,000 as the rebate and 2,000 as the down payment. So what that means right now is you need to finance $17,000. Now, because this formula is already in here, because this formula here is already been placed inside of here. It's going to, well, you'll see in just a minute. So let's say the interest rate, the first one is 8%. Okay. And the term in years, well, let's say it's, let's see if I put it down here. Go down. Yeah. It's 5 years. So what I'm going to do in here is I'm going to write equal 5 times 12. And right away, I see what my monthly payment is going to be. If I decided, well, I could probably afford a little more on a monthly payment, so I'm going to just remove my down payment. It's going to delete it, and I see right away that my monthly payment just went up to $127. And Toma asked, you don't need to put times 12 in the formula. I only did that over here because I didn't feel like doing the math in my head. I could have just written the number 60 here. Would have worked fine. It'll work either way. So let's do one together without any formulas in there. So we'll start with, we're going to upgrade a little, and now we're going to buy a car for $30,000. Not 60 years, 60 months. You have to realize that when you're figuring out terms in years, yeah, right. It shouldn't have said terms in years. Did I do it wrong? I probably did. Let me see. It's only 5 years. Oh, you're right. Sorry, my mistake, because I forgot that I have it multiplied in this area. Had I not multiplied it here, then I would have been able to do that. Thank you. It did sound like it was too cheap. I was going to run out and get a car myself at that point. Okay, so here we are buying a car for $30,000. We're going to get a rebate of $1,000, and not knowing yet how much it's going to cost us. We're not going to put a down payment yet until we want to readjust our numbers somewhat. So let's just get a formula in here. Equals, not sum, but the price of the car minus whatever's in here, and enter. Let's do an interest rate of 3% for now. In terms in years, we'll say 7, and create the formula together. So again, equal PMT. Now, as soon as I start typing it, it will help me out over here. Calculates the payment for a loan based on the constant payments and constant interest rate. Whoops, because I came off of it, I got an error. Okay, so I'm starting with my interest divided by 12. And then I'm looking at my terms in years, and now multiplying it by 12, which I forgot that I had already done that. And the last part is a negative number, don't ask me why, of the amount that finances, close the parenthesis, and is that possible? Sounds like, oh, well, it's so much less because we're paying so much less interest than we did in this one. So what's nice about this is that we might look at this number and decide, well, it's probably a little more than we want to pay monthly, so let's try putting in a down payment and see how that adjusts our monthly payments. So you see that once you set this up, you can try it with each of these without recalculating, without refiguring. In fact, what I can do just to be able to do a comparison, I'm going to drag it across and change different numbers and see what my results will be. And you see each time I can keep on deciding on different payment methods and, amount of years, different interest options depending on what's being offered to me, and I'll see that it changed. If you notice that right now I put 3.5 and I got 4%, it's only because I must have decreased my decimal points. So there's plenty of times that it's a good idea to bring it back. I'm going to do something similar right now with mortgages. So we'll be using the same type of formula, which you'll see right over here. And what I want to do is I want to show 6 different interest rates. I want to show it at 7.5, 8.5, 9.5, etc. I want to increase each of these, and you'll see these little red tabs here. These are notes. I don't know if this is something that you've used before, but sometimes I want to remind myself of something, so I'll put a little note. Let's say I'm here and I need a note. I just right-click it, and actually they call them comments. You can insert a comment, and whatever you write in here, it kind of disappears until you mouse over to it. So notes, comments are really handy to use. You can edit them, delete them, show them if you want them to. I'm going to just delete that one. So the reason I put this here is because what I wanted you to do is I wanted you to give me the interest at 8%, at 8.5. I didn't want you to actually type that in. I want you to use the formula, which is this plus sign, plus 0.01, because remember it's percentage. So if I want to keep increasing now, I only have to do that once. And you see, just by clicking and dragging, I have all my variables here. And here I put the first formula for you. So what it's doing is it's not multiplying this time by a percentage, but it's multiplying by a cell reference. So it's the payment A6, which is the interest, divided by 12. And then the 30, which would be 30 years, because right now I'm in the mortgage payment of 30 years. And then I subtract C1, which is the amount that I'm planning to borrow. So this was the starting interest, and if you notice, if I click into this interest, it was equals C2. So I didn't actually write 7.5, I took it from here. So once I have my formula, I can figure out how much the monthly payments will be if these are the interest rates that are being offered to me. Same thing with 15 years, so you'll see the same type of formula right here, except instead of 30, I put in 15. And that's how much it's going to be. Difference being okay. Right now I think interest rates are way lower than 7.5%. And Tomer, I'll answer your question in a moment. Let's say, rates have gone down quite a bit, so I want to start at 4%, not at 7. And you see that everything has changed. If I want it instead of 1% increments, maybe I want 0.5%. Let's see if that works. And I was able to make that adjustment. You see how quickly I'm able to change my rates and be able to do a good comparison. Had a few questions. Let me just look at them. Can you choose, this is from Toma, can you choose somehow the number out of the text cell like 15 years? From here, you wanted, instead of, I see what you wanted to do. You wanted to put inside this formula, instead of writing in 15, you wanted to take it from here. The way to do that is just write 15, and then in your comments, you can put 15 years or whatever it is that you want. You can't put text in a formula. So the only way you'd be able to, and that's my daughter that you see comes up because it was her computer. You can't put a number in you can't put the text in the formula, but at this point now I can change it to be that C5, and I guess I do need my F4. Let me just make sure. Yes. And enter. So that would be the way I'd get around it. I would just write in, or even right here in monthly payments, I could write in years or put it on a separate line. But no, you can't put them together. See, that would really resolve that problem too. And then, again, in this formula, you easily can replace there. Same formula, but referencing the cell instead of putting in the information. I don't remember what I had in here. Okay. I didn't plan on doing this one today, so I just have to take a minute to look at it and see what I had in mind. Change the parameter in cell B4. Okay, the way that I got all of these formulas in here, you can see here, it's payment, okay, all. Now, where did this word all come from? If I click into my name box, how come I should see all in there. If it exists, it should have been in there. But sometimes when I send things, it's 11. Oh, thank you. I thought I had intended that to be, I told you, I didn't look at this before the class. I didn't think that I was getting this far, so excuse me for these errors. It could have been that it was referencing something. Okay, this is what's called a mixed reference. And if you remember that multiplication table, I hope that I had done this with you. The multiplication table, let me just let me know if I did that with you, where just from the number 1 you were able to create, yeah, you did it. So you were able to create the entire table using the mixed references. So this is another area that you'll be using those mixed that you'll be using the mixed references. So if you look at this formula, it's the payment is, and it's A11, okay, A11, which came from the starting interest. Now, only the A is absolute. The 11 is going to move down as it goes down the line, divided by 12, okay? And then the B6, which is the terms, which has to get multiplied by 12. That one is not absolute. And B10, which is this number, only the 10 is absolute. The B is going to move to C, D, E, F, G as it moves across. So that was the formula that was created to see every payment, for $200,000 at each interest rate, etc. Since I'm already on this page, I'm going to just do something interesting with it that I think will just really tell a lot more than what we're looking at right now. I'm going to go into the conditional formatting and let's see which one. I happen to like this one. Okay. What this does for me is it allows me to see things, the highest numbers having the most blue and the lowest numbers having the least blue. It's kind of like combining a chart and a spreadsheet together. So this one happens to be that everything goes up gradually, so it's very easy to spot the areas that go up. I'll show it to you in a color scheme also. I think the first one showed it much better. But in something like this, what you're seeing is that the greenest being the lightest. If I just did a series of numbers, I think it gives a better indication. Okay. Let's say I just had a group of numbers like this. Using that conditional formatting, you really do right away see your lowest to highest numbers. I probably would prefer it the reverse. Okay, so, your hottest numbers being the highest ones, your coolest numbers being in the greens, the yellows, etc. Okay, let's end it at this point. We have one more in here that we'll get to next week, and rename all the lessons so that will be, coordinated to the week that we're up to and the lesson number that we're up to. So we finished 3, and we got 3 to go. Okay, and Lila told to Yoav, and good night, and thank everybody. Okay, and again, if there's anything that you want to go over that I might not have gone over, please send me an email. It's cookiesettin@gmail.com, or you'll see it on the website. If not, as far as making sure that we're on the right lesson, I'm going to change this one right here to say lesson 3 so that we'll be up to date, and we'll work from that point going forward. Okay. All right. Good night, everybody. Thank you.